What's up guys? A lot of you probably know this, but in case you're a new viewer and you're just finding this channel, my name is Dustin Williams and I'm a content creator here on YouTube. I've had this channel for about 10 years now, and over the 10 years I've been doing this, I've accumulated quite the collection. I figured it's 2023, it's the beginning of the new year. I wanted to give you guys a complete look into my personal collection of cars that we've built over the years. Also, please excuse the light drizzle that we have here. It's literally been raining for the past 2 weeks, and you know, at this point, we're just gonna embrace it. It is what it is, and we're gonna do the entire collection here in the rain. But I have to say, it actually makes all of the cars look pretty damn cool. Now, before we get into this awesome run through of all the cars, almost 50% of you guys watching this video right now are not subscribed. Before we get started, scroll down a little bit, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for all the awesome content that we have coming up with all of these cars and even some more. So like I said, we're gonna be running through every single one of these cars very briefly, telling you a little bit about the build. We'll probably start them up, rev them up so you can hear each car. These cars sound really good. I love exhaust. I love the way cars sound. It'll be really interesting to hear how each one matches up against each other because they're all built so differently, but also have my style. It's really cool. So we're gonna go through every single one of the cars, starting with Tim Bro's car right at the end over there, all the way down. If you come down to my favorite section at the end of the collection, which we're missing. We're missing one very pivotal car in this collection, which you guys can probably notice, but we'll talk about it at the end. Come on, Tim, let's go to the end. We're gonna start with Tim's car, landing all the way the Proto Z. Is this our newest car?
Yes.
It is. To our newest car, the Proto Z. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. It's gonna be a long one, but we have a lot of awesome information going. Let's get started. This is Tim Bro's car. Tim, turn the camera around and give him a wave. I've known Tim for almost 10 years now. Tim was with me when I started this channel and we built that WRX. What was it, about 2 years ago? I surprised Tim and bought him this Project WRX, and we have built it from a piece of crap to almost a 400 horsepower monster. This thing absolutely rips and it's sick. So let's take a look. This is Tim's ultimate dad car. Got a nice little lip kit, STI bits here and there, but the main focus of this car is the performance aspect on it because this thing absolutely rips. So let's go ahead and give it a start. You guys look here on the interior. Tim swapped it over to the STI interior for seating, door cards. Even got a custom little steering wheel right there. It's really cool. But Tim, how much did this thing make on the dyno?
$369, and that was detuned.
We are slowly but surely building this thing. We have a couple of things left in the shop for this. STI trans, we need some axles. We have a ton of cool stuff coming up, but this is the car that I surprised Tim with. I forgot to mention this earlier. If you guys want to see the entire build series of everything that we've done to all these cars, we have build series on the channel for every single car. So I'm going to briefly go over each one, but if you guys want to see the full series, you can watch every episode on the channel right now for each one of these cars. Which leads me to our next car, the Toge 86. This is actually our most recent purchase, and this is a 1986 A86 11 Coupe, the one that I really wanted. This is a car that I want to learn how to drift in, and that's what we bought it for, as a purpose-built Toge learning how to drift car. It's been really cool. It's been really fun. So far, we've taken it to the track once, drifted it once, and it's been a ton of fun. And I'm really looking forward to actually learning how to drift and how to slide this car. We have a ton of really cool plans for it, but for now, we're trying to learn it as stock as possible. So for the build of this car, I want to keep it a bit true to that OG Japanese style that I always see and that I look up to when all of the 86 guys in Japan get together and do their 86 drift days or their car meets or whatever, just that 86 Japanese build style. That's what I want to keep this true to. So we've done a ton of tasteful mods in here, like the Cusco cage. We have the period correct bridge seat in here, Alcantara Nardi steering wheel, and I mean, that's basically it besides a crazy loud Tomei exhaust, which I should probably go ahead and start up for you guys. Amazing. goal for this car this year is to build it up, build my skills not only as a driver for when I compete in time attack, but also build my skills as a driver doing some drifting, which will hopefully bleed into me when I'm grip driving. So you guys have a lot to look forward with this car this year, but that's the basic gist. And like I said, if you want to see any of the episodes of any of the parts that we have installed on these cars, it's all on the channel. Moving on, we have my Civic EG that is now K24 swapped. This is such a cool build for Tim and I because this is our first swapped car, but it's also the first build that we completed here in the new shop. This has the basic JDM K24 out of the Acura TSX Type R along with the LSD transmission. It's absolutely sick. We're still in the build process of it. As you can see, it doesn't have a front end yet. We were waiting for a couple of parts which have now come in, and we're going to complete the build and take it to the track head to head with our new Type R right here, which we'll get into in just a bit. But like I said, this is one of our coolest builds because it is our first ever swapped car. So let's go ahead and give it a start. Oh, we also don't have an exhaust, so we're waiting for some material from our friends over at MA Performance, which, by the way, every single car here has at least one part from MA Performance. So if you guys ever need anything, my link to MA Performance will be down in the description box below. You can pretty much find anything you need for any car from that site. This car is gonna be pretty gnarly. We just have a couple of things left to button up, and like I said, she's gonna be hitting the track. A little bit of a backstory on the EG. We bought this as just a fun mini series to build for a Grid Life event where we competed this thing with the D15 in the Sunday Cup series of Grid Life. After that event, we decided to eBay turbo the D15, put it on the dyno, and it instantly blew up. It was pretty hilarious. So like all the cars, you can find this entire build series, including the blown up D15 turbo, on the channel. Moving on to our next Honda, we have our 2018 Civic Type R FK8. Now this is one of my favorite cars in the fleet, and I think that reason is because I used to have one that I sold a long time ago, and I regretted it ever since I sold it. Getting this one, I was able to do everything I wish I could have done 3 years ago, whenever it was, when this car first came out and there was no mods for it. I wasn't at this point in time where I could build certain cars like I can now. Looking back at it, I built this car exactly how I wanted to build my first one. I pretty much drive it every single day. It's my daily driver race car, as I call it. So this car was built to compete in Grid Life as well, just in a lower class, like the street class, something that I could drive comfortably every day while also take to the track if I want to go do a one-off track day for a small event or take it to competition, which we've competed in a few different locations, actually across the country, all the way in Lime Rock. It's been really, really fun and really cool. Moving to the back, we have a ton of my favorite parts, and like we really spent our time figuring out a good build plan for this car. We have a ton of HKS on it, we have some TEs on it, some little bits that I bought from Japan, including Jay's Racing, Seeker. It's a really cool build. This car pretty much has every single bolt-on, performance-wise, that you can do without doing fuel because, well, you can see it in the build series, but there's a lot of things and a lot of restrictions that we have on the certain class that we run in. But anyways, let's give it a start and a rev. Spicy. So this car is freshly tuned with a brand new MA Performance downpipe as well as a Pure Turbos turbo upgrade, ready for the 2023 season. So the build series from stock to this point now is on the channel as well. Let's move over to the one and only, the OG of the OG, the 2015 WRX. This was my first real ever car build. This is the car that kind of started it all for me and the channel. This is the car that I've had the longest. We've had this for about 7 years now. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3. 8 years. We had this car for 8 years. That's crazy. and we built it from just a basic stock car. Now I don't want to go over everything with it because it does have an extensive list, has every bolt on, it's wide body bagged. This car was actually wrecked by a drunk driver a few years back and completely totaled. We even rebuilt it back from that, and she's still here today. So this is a hard one for me because it's actually so big. The story of this car is so much that you guys are just gonna have to go watch this series on this. But the cool thing about it is we are bringing it back for 2023, and we actually just revived it. I actually didn't drive this car for over a year, and recently we just picked it back up, cleaned it up, kind of restored it a little bit, and now it's running and driving and part of the channel again, and we're starting a new build series on it. So you guys can keep up to date even from 8 years ago to now. It's really cool. This is definitely the most deserving of a startup because we literally just put a new exhaust on it yesterday. She sounds good, and it just brings me back to the old days when we first started this car. So throughout the year, we'll be doing more and more mods to this just to kind of dial it in where we want it. We expect to do a color change. We want to get some more power in this thing, and overall just make it a better car to drive every single day. So moving over to the next one, this is probably the coolest and like the biggest car of the bunch here. This is like my ultimate dream hero car of all time. Short story is, this is the original, the very first Tokyo Drift Evo. Without this car right here, the Tokyo Drift Evo would not be in existence. Now, it's a lot to explain. I could make a whole hour-long video explaining to you guys what this car is and how it became what it is, but I've already done that. So I'm gonna go ahead and link that video down below for the entire story of, is this car the real Tokyo Drift Evo? That video down below will explain the entire story for you guys, but the short story here is, this is the first ever Tokyo Drift Evo. Tim and I rebuilt this thing from the 15-year death it was in. And you're probably like, Dustin, what does that even mean? This car sat for 15 years, untouched, unrunning, just in the back of APR's warehouse. I found it, I bought it, and then Tim and I actually it was quickly rebuilt this thing to a running and driving car. Now we actually have the Tokyo Drift Evo just sitting in my garage. Now the cool thing about this is, it is a time capsule. This thing is equipped with HKS, almost the entire HKS catalog from the 2000s, and it's so cool. It's what you would think of a Tokyo Drift Evo being, except it's the real one. And the interesting thing about this is, it doesn't sound like any other Evo I've ever heard. It has a pretty interesting tone, and got, like I said, all HKS stuff on it. So let's go ahead and start her up. This thing is absolutely crazy, and definitely one of the most important builds that we have here on the channel. Like I keep saying throughout every build, if you guys want to see how we revive this car and us bring this car back from the dead, the entire build series is linked on the channel. And like I said, the link in the description will be the video where I talk about the exact history of the car and what this car really is. Now we're making some progress here. We have a few more left, but this starts probably my favorite section of my collection and what I like to call my forever cars. This right here is actually my second ever GTR. This was, I remember being in like 10th grade. I was living in Mississippi at the time, back where I grew up, and I saw my first ever R35 GTR. And I remember I went up to him, this was at Walgreens. I went up to him and I asked him what he did for a living, and he said he was a dentist. And I remember telling myself, damn, I don't want to be a dentist, but how do I afford an R35 GTR? There's that moment where I was like, I probably never will be able to get one of those. So this is one of the most monumental purchases that I have ever made, because this was one of the cars where I just like looked at myself, was like, damn, I'm really able to do it, you know? So this was one of my first ever dream cars, the R35 GTR, and I built it as such. I love GTRs, I love Nissans, and I love the GTR history in general, which is where we got the Millennium Jade color from. My favorite ever GTR is the R34 GTR, and stemming off of that, my favorite color R34 is the Millennium Jade M-Spec Nur, which is why I wanted to do that to my R35 GTR. My favorite kit for the car was the Varus kit, so I put all of that together to make my dream R35 GTR, which is what we have standing in front of you right now. And for me, that was one of my personal favorite build series, because this was before I had Tim, and I actually did the entire Varus kit by myself. Fitted it up, cut it, which was terrifying, cut carbon fiber, that was terrifying, and we built this thing in my old garage, just locked myself in there and put the kit on. It was really, really cool and really fun for me. So this is one of my prized possessions and one of my favorite GTRs that we have. Plus, it also has full bolt-ons and makes over 700 horsepower. It's pretty awesome. Moving on in the GTR collection, we have my R33 GTR. This was my least favorite out of the bunch, but the one that I kind of found myself driving more than any of them and enjoying just as much as the rest. This is my 1995 Midnight Purple R33 GTR V-Spec. So my goal when building these GTRs, because I have almost every generation, we're missing the 34, which is still in Japan, which we're gonna do a new update when that comes to America, but we built each one as kind of a different form. My R35 is more of my like flashy show car. Then we have the R33, which I wanted to turn into like my nice daily drivable drive everyday sort of car. So with this car, we did a bunch of tasteful mods from, you know, full bolt-ons. This car came to America with actually already built very, very nicely from the previous owner in Japan. It has Grady turbos, it has some sort of downpipe, equal length downpipe, which sounds fantastic, and we ended up putting a Tomei exhaust on it to give it that really awesome loud tone. We also did Apple CarPlay. We put these LMGT2s on the car, and we dropped it just a little bit, making it one of my favorite and most fun cars to drive. After dynoing it, we found that the car made around 400 to 450 horsepower, and that's on the high boost setting, which we now run at low boost just for safety on the engine, because I think it does need to get redone. It's an old car with a lot of modifications, and with an RB, you have to pay special attention to those, so we are going to refresh it down the road. Definitely, I think one of the best sounding cars that we have. Actually, at this point, let me know down in the comments which car you guys think sounds the best. So at some point, we are gonna go ahead and refresh the R33 GTR, but let's move on to the GTR that started it all, my R32 GTR. Now, much like the WRX, this car has a very, very long history. And if you guys want to see the entire series of this car, every video is live on the channel right now, from stock all the way to the insane race car that it is right now. And there's still so much left to do on this car. Ever since finding out about this car, this was like unobtainium for me. Back in high school when I learned about the GTR, and this story is already in this build series, but I found the GTR from Godzilla because I'm a huge Godzilla nerd, and when I found out that this car was called Godzilla, I became obsessed with it, and when I found out that you could only get them in Japan in high school, I never knew about the 25-year rule. This was like an unobtainable car for me, and you know, fast forward 10 years, whatever it is, I actually have it. And traveling to Japan now, I was able to see so many GTRs, and it really opened my eyes, opened my mind to the world of GTRs. And going to Japan really inspired this build for me, and really all my cars, but this one in specific, because the first time I went to Japan, this was the car that I was building, and this is the car that I got all the parts for, and that just started my obsession with owning every single GTR. This car I built to be the ultimate like race spec R32 GTR, and while we're still a long ways away from that, we're well on the way. I built this car to compete in time attack along with my other different time attack builds. Of course, as I've already told you guys, RBs are very specific, and throughout our time racing this car, it's found to be pretty difficult, but a ton of fun. And we've had a lot of fun building it. I say fun, it's been a headache, but with this build, it's been such a dream and so much fun, like getting it to a point where it's breaking, we fix it, and it's even better. It's just so damn cool, and I love where we're taking it. And like I said, there's still a ton left to do on this to make it like a dialed in race car, but we are well on our way. So currently this car is broken, it's missing fifth and reverse, and it desperately needs a tune. It's still running and driving and a ton of fun. We're just waiting for that right time to start the series, because we're pretty much gonna have to pull everything out of this car, because we want to do diffs, we want to do new trans, and we have to get a new tune. It's just gonna be a whole big project, but hopefully this year this is something that we can get done. I forgot how gnarly this thing
like
is.
the ground is dry where it was going up. I can't hear anything.
In my personal opinion, this is the best sounding, and I think my favorite car. Okay, and last but not least, for the running and driving cars at least, we have our 2023 Proto Z. Now this is our newest build here, and the build that we actually did this year for SEMA. In partnership with APR Performance and AMS, we did full bolt-ons on this thing and got it ready for SEMA this year, and it was at the Rays booth, which is honestly a dream come true. Rays was like the ultimate dream for me. I love their wheels, but most importantly, their booth at SEMA and at Tokyo Auto Salon is in the center, and it's just massive. So it was really a dream come true to have this car be at the Rays booth at SEMA. So obviously we had to have this car because the Z is such like a household name in car industry, and for us car guys, the Z is legendary. And even better right now, we're actually building a 280Z, so I really wanted to have this car right next to the 280Z whenever it gets running and driving, so we can kind of compare the two, because Nissan did an awesome job like kind of reviving that heritage spirit with the Z and bringing back a ton of features from the old Datsuns. So this car was a car to build alongside with the 280Z, and when we can finally pull that car out of the garage, it'll be really cool to have this one next to that one. Now, I told you guys we did full bolt-ons with the Z. The Z actually made over 500 horsepower with full bolt-ons and a tune on the 85. So this car makes around like 515 horsepower and 560 torque. It's an absolute monster, and it's awesome. make a lot of power, but it sounds really nice. And for me, this is probably my favorite car to just drive every single day comfortably with the most power. This is such a great daily driver to have over 500 horsepower, but also have all the amenities of a brand new car, drive it comfortably with no issues, AC, the inside is all comfortable, just a really, really great driving every day. If you guys want to see us build it, like all the other cars, we have the entire build series on the channel. So now that we've went over all of the running cars, we have two honorable mentions here, which I guess they just aren't running right now. Number one is our Spoon S2000. This was an awesome build that we did recently. And actually on the channel, I just recently uploaded a building in 10 minutes video where you guys can see this entire build condensed into 10 minutes. It's really cool. Long story short, this was my first ever race car, the car that I learned how to track in, how to prep a track car, how to race on the track. We traveled all over with it, and we even built it completely out of the Spoon catalog. This car has so much Spoon on it that Spoon themselves actually authenticated this car and serial numbers stamped it with a Spoon badge in the engine bay. It's one of my prized possessions and definitely one of the coolest cars that we have ever built. Unfortunately, I can't start it and run it for you guys because our last track day with this car, we actually blew a coolant line and I think it blew the engine, head gasket, something along those lines. We have to pull it out, check exactly what went wrong and rebuild or figure out something. We just haven't gotten to it yet, and that's definitely on our long list of things to do with cars. Last but not least, one of the biggest and longest running builds on the channel, the 280Z. I bought this 3 or 4 years ago for my wife, Tiana, and ever since then, we've been building it. I bought it sitting in a warehouse for 7 years, untouched, undriven, just collecting dust. I thought this car was primer gray when I first bought it. Turns out it was regular gray, but the primer came from all of the thick layer of dust that was on it. It was actually pretty disgusting. We stripped the entire car down to a shell, which is, as you see it now, we have a fully built L28 that we're currently getting running, and it's like this close. It's this close. And once we get it running, it's gonna be one hell of a car. It's gonna be a monster, fully built L28. We did custom interior. We're gonna have new flares on it. It's gonna be a complete restoration and a very, very cool 280Z. Now, with all of that being said, this is my entire car collection. Well, let me say, except for two. We're missing the R34, and we do have a secret car hiding up in my garage at home that we can't reveal just yet, but it's coming soon. You guys gotta stay tuned for the rest of the year to see what builds that we have coming up and everything that we do to our current existing builds. Now, I am so fortunate to be able to be in the position where we're able to build all of these different amazing cars, and I wanna say thank you to you guys because none of this would be possible without any of you. You guys allow me to do what I love every single day, and I'm so happy that I can sit here, produce content, and do things that I love for you guys. And like I constantly say it, I really do appreciate every single one of you that takes time out of your day to come watch a video or watch parts of a video. It really means a lot that you guys interact with me on everywhere. So thank you guys very much. Like I've already said, I'm in a very fortunate position, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much, and I'm very excited for another start of an amazing year. We're gonna do bigger and better things this year. We're gonna bring back a lot of these cars, make them even better, and bring in some new ones throughout the year as well. And I hope you guys are as stoked as I am. Get ready, because it's gonna be a wild and fun year. All right, guys, that is gonna be the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave me a like. Leave a comment down below which car is your favorite or which car sounds the best. And make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't already. We're so close to 700K. Scroll down a little bit, hit that button, and join the Legends fam. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.